continuing one of the busiest weeks of the year already by mid-January with the 5th and 6th hours of primetime television. After the Raw 10th anniversary special on Tuesday, all focus now shifted to the Royal Rumble pay-per-view in 3 days, with the build-up set to be closed on a SmackDown broadcast unusually taped last Sunday in New Jersey to allow the SmackDown crew to attend the anniversary special Tuesday night in New York. Besides Taker's return and the two major angles for the Rumble with Jericho and Michaels on Raw and Lesnar vs. Show on SmackDown as the heavy favorites on both brands, setting up Rumble hype promos from the SmackDown roster throughout the night to kick off with the Guerreros vs. Cena and Buchanan going 5 minutes, opening the first half hour at the 5 million viewers range, with the match finish outside the Guerreros going over, seeing the sudden end of the Cena and Buchanan partnership, with Cena turning on Buchanan to debut OVW's Redd Dogg and the future Rodney Mack as his new partner, and with the now traditionally second biggest pay-per-view of the year after overtaking SummerSlam in recent years set to take place on Sunday, January 19th, is also set to feature another wrestling event with accelerated major buzz driven by what was targeted to be the first Goldberg vs. Hogan match in 3 years, with Hogan and Goldberg both in Japan heading into All Japan's Tokyo Dome show on Sunday, advertised to be headlined by Goldberg and Muto against two mystery opponents, leading to Hogan reportedly getting a major offer to work the match as one of the opponents, with negotiations taking place during the week. At the same time, both Goldberg and Hogan are also in talks with McMahon over their WWE return in time for WrestleMania season, ending up with Hogan turning down the offer for the match days before the show with All Japan after also contacting Sting and Luger as potential opponents, signing Bryan Adams and Brian Clark for a WCW Chronic reunion against Goldberg in the main event, as with Goldberg only having several dates left on his Japan deal while his agent negotiates with McMahon in hopes of reaching a deal for the planned Rock vs. Goldberg WrestleMania main event. And Hogan usually spot on in reading the scene and where the momentum is heading in the business. The planned other headliner for WrestleMania saw talks between Hogan and McMahon after meeting in person for the first time since their latest dispute on December 10 and agreeing to restart negotiations in early January, accelerating significantly in the following days, with Hogan's return from Japan to all but confirm his WWE comeback in the near future. With massive hype for the anniversary special, with the company indirectly giving viewers the notion that a majority of major players in show history will be featured on the show based on the weeks of commercials, expectations for the show were not possible to be matched, with not one of Austin, Rock, Foley, Bret and Taker appearing in New York in person, taking out practically all but few of the most influential and most synonymous performers in the brand's history, with no major surprises available to make up for it, with Hogan and Goldberg both in Japan at the same time, seeing the 2-hour TNN special from 9 to 11 p.m. drawing a 2.9 rating a day following the regular Raw broadcast driven by Vince McMahon's return drawing a 4-month high with a full rating point above it, raising questions on if the anniversary hype would have been maximized better if promoted for a regularly scheduled Monday night show of Raw, with boosted hype to pop a massive number, with two of the main awards on the show being Steve Austin named Raw Superstar of the Decade and a Beer Bath Corporation segment from March 1999 voted as the greatest moment in show history. Vince McMahon started the build-up for Austin's return set for the next month, saying that he's accepting the award as Austin wasn't invited, in reality similarly to Rock and Taker not appearing in person, not wanting Austin's first appearance in months to be in the club setting on a Tuesday night and not in front of a boosted Raw viewership or major pay-per-view, and with the company's creative and production crews stretched to the limit with 14 hours of television from Monday to next week's Raw. A major story from one of the production meetings saw both head writers of Raw and SmackDown suspended for the week, as with tension between them reportedly escalating since first working together in mid-2001, including a fight nearly taking place in front of Vince and Shane mid-flight on the company plane before the added further conflict with them placed as the head writers on two separate writing crews with the brand split concept last April. Paul Heyman and Brian Gowertz were both suspended after a routine disagreement in the writing room turned into a physical altercation. resulting in Gowertz being sent home with him not set to be at the Rumble and the following night's Raw for the first time in years, while Heyman, due to his involvement in the major SmackDown angles, staying on the road as only an on-screen talent, opening the second hour on the night in a promo hyping the show vs. Lesnar pay-per-view match before the promoted tag match of Lesnar and a mystery partner against Show and A-Train over the top of the hour quarter, revealed to be the returning Rey Mysterio after over a month out recovering from knee surgery, with Rey and Lesnar going over in a quick match, peaking the night with over 5.8 million viewers. And after writing Al Wilson off last Thursday with the thought of closing out the Triangle program going on for months, the company looked to get even more mileage out of the story with a show-long series of skits from Al's funeral building up to the payoff segment of Tori showing up to start a brawl in the funeral home as the final build to the Dawn vs. Tori pay-per-view match on Sunday. SmackDown took its final commercial break at 9:39 p.m. to see the main event going uninterrupted for the final 17 minutes, featuring Kurt Angle's first televised match back after a month out following knee surgery to establish him being fully fit for the Benoit title match, with massive expectations for them to put on one of the top matches of the year, and with the high-profile creative dispute and WWE making headlines during the week. Vince Russo, who was originally hired back to oversee both as the head of creative on both brands, made headlines of a different kind by bringing the behind-the-scenes conflict on screen with an unscripted shoot interview confrontation between Russo and Mike Tenay, highlighting last night's TNA pay-per-view, taking the sports entertainment against traditional wrestling angle to the next level, with them going back and forth on Russo's philosophy for the industry, with perhaps the most talked about exchange seen Russo justifying putting the WCW title on David Arquette due to the USA Today publicity, with Tenay responding by bringing up the May 1, 2000 record rating gap of 7.4 to 2.5 rating margin the following Monday, with the WWF at peak interest coming a day after a blockbuster Backlash pay-per-view going against Arquette's first Nitro as champion on a night which ended with the all-time cable viewership record being set, with The Rock vs. Shane main event peaking at 11 million viewers. Kurt Angle, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas vs. Chris Benoit, and edging the first match of all three members of Team Angle in the ring, went 15 minutes in the main event to bump the final quarter to a joint show high of over 5.8 million viewers, continuing the changing SmackDown viewing pattern in recent months of an above-average starting audience and no major growth throughout the broadcast, with both hours totaling 5.3 and 5.5 million viewers, building up to the first Angle-Benoit clash in over a month throughout the match to close the Royal Rumble build-up, with Benoit after promising to get to Angle tonight while hyping his career-long WWE title chase in a sit-down interview an hour earlier, getting Angle back to make him tap to the crossface, with SmackDown going off the air with Benoit holding the WWE title as the final image heading into the Rumble on Sunday.
The World Heavyweight Championship. Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, the WWE Championship. Wrestling, that's what we do best. The next World Heavyweight Champion! Live in 3 days on pay-per-view.